Welcome to Unmute Your Midlife, the podcast for women who are done tolerating a muted version of themselves. I'm Joyce, a nurse committed to cutting through the noise, the myths, the dismissals, so we can talk about what's really happening. Midlife is not the end of your power. It's where leading yourself becomes non-negotiable. So I've been doing some soul searching, some analysis of the topics I've covered so far, the topics that I want to cover. And you're probably going to notice a shift in the episodes moving forward. Not a bad shift, a good shift. But basically, I've kind of narrowed down my vision for this movement that I've kind of created here. And it's going to be all about how to recalibrate your energy and reclaim your authority. Because I think that that is what most women in midlife, they find out, or they find themselves in this position where suddenly they feel run down. They are stressing out. They're having trouble with the mood swings. Everything that they were able to overcompensate for in the past, it suddenly overcompensating doesn't work anymore because we're so depleted either in our hormones, our energy, our resources. And so things that we used to be able to kind of make up the difference for, suddenly they start to creep out. And sometimes they can have a really, really negative impact on our lives. Other times it's just a minor inconvenience. But my focus is going to be on, stabilizing the energy levels and the mood swings, regulating your stress response, fueling properly. And fueling, that includes food, supplements, pharmacology, all the things that increase our capacity for more energy, for more growth, for being able to do more, to enjoy more, to have the energy to be involved, to be present, to observe what's happening. And in turn, that's going to restore our leverage. Just because we hit 50 doesn't mean we've hit the peak of our career. It doesn't mean that we've finished doing all the things that we had planned for our life. Far from it. But without energy, without mental energy, physical energy, we limit our capacity to accomplish all these dreams that we have, all these goals that we have, all these plans that we want to make. So I definitely want to focus on recalibrating our energy. And the other thing is reclaiming authority. I see a change happening, for instance, in the medical realm. The information is changing. And so doctors are starting to prescribe medications or hormones that will help women to continue to live their best life. But there's still pushback. And for instance, there's so many women who have suddenly started going on the hormone patch, and the pharmaceutical companies have a shortage. Why? They know how many people are in our same age group. I went to pick mine up, and normally it's $50-something. This last time it was $256. Now, I don't know if that's a permanent price change or not. I'll find out tomorrow when I call them. But that's ridiculous. What? Because supply has dwindled, you're going to increase the price? I mean, it's not like I'm asking for something to help me have an erection. If this was happening with erectile dysfunction medications, I feel like the reaction from the general public would be a little different. And I'm not like a third wave feminist, and I am all for men having access to the medications they need. But I am also for women having access to these simple medications we need also. So under the umbrella of Reclaim Your Authority, I want to talk about how we stop tolerating dismissal. We stop numbing ourselves. We stop shrinking to avoid making other people feel small. If they feel small, that's their problem. You don't have to shrink yourself so that you don't make someone else uncomfortable. You are who you are, and we should stop outsourcing decisions. We have resources available so that we can find out what we might be needing, what might be happening. There's ways to track what's happening so that you can present some empirical data when you go to the doctor. We don't have to accept the status quo. We can push for better. We can raise our standards. So when I say there's going to be a small shift in the messages that I share, that's basically the kind of messages I'm talking about. My focus is on recovery, regulation, and fuel. And over the next few weeks, I'll go into some deeper detail about what each one of those means. But today, in particular, we're going to talk about how midlife is not the problem, tolerance is. So if midlife starts feeling chaotic, exhausting, or like you're disappearing inside your own life, I need to tell you something very clearly. The problem is not midlife. The problem is your tolerance. And I say this with all love, not in a blaming way, because I was in this very same position. What I hope really is just to kind of give you a revelation, an aha peek at, oh, I never looked at it that way. Because a lot of times we women, we call this new state of feeling aging, but really it's just accumulated toleration. Like I was saying earlier, we were able to overcompensate or find ways to deal with it all. But let's stop and think for a second. For half a century now, if you're in your 50s, for half a century, you've tolerated exhaustion, dismissal, inconsistency. How many of you are overcommitted? Like you just keep taking on more and more and more. We numb ourselves because sometimes it's just too much to deal with or to think about. And we say, I can't deal with that right now. And so you just learn to numb yourself with scrolling on your phone, with watching TV, with reading books, anything to escape reality and avoid having to make hard decisions or painful changes. We've been shrinking. As I said, sometimes we shrink so that we don't make other people uncomfortable. Sometimes we shrink because we don't have the courage to stand up and really face down someone or something that's trying to push back. And so we hit midlife and it's like we hit this, I don't want to say a wall, but we hit this resistance within inside that says, no, we just can't do it this way anymore. So midlife is definitely the perfect time for a recalibration. Because that's when your hormones shift, and so you can't tolerate it all. That's when your recovery changes. It takes you longer to bounce back from things. Go have a simple surgery and see if you can go back to work in 3 days. I bet you can't. We have different stress response at this age. We have a change in our metabolic needs and metabolic demands. So instead of trying to recalibrate, a lot of women just keep pushing through with the same rules, the same mechanisms that they used when they were 35. That's not resilience. That's drift. We're drifting away from our true north. We're drifting away from ideal standards. There's a long-term cost of this. If you keep tolerating that low energy, here's what happens. You stop advocating for yourself. You decide it's just too hard, it's too much work. And so you give away your authority and you let other people decide for you. You stop initiating. Just think of all these ideas that you used to come up with, plans that you used to have, even if it's something simple. But then when it's time to go and implement that, you're like, I just don't have the energy to mess with that. And so it doesn't get done. Think of all the good, helpful ideas that are out there floating around in women's heads, not getting initiated because they're too dang tired. You stop escalating your career. There's no reason for you to say, oh, I'm all right. This is it. This is the top. I mean, if you're happy with where you're at, cool. But if you think, man, I wish I could do more. I wish I could make more. I wish I could be more. You completely can, but you'll have to stop tolerating the low energy in order to make it happen. When we're low energy, we delay conversations because you know what? Hard conversations, they take a lot of energy out of you. You start accepting good enough or lower standards. I mean, you like shrink your standards, things that you wouldn't put up with, say, as a 25-year-old. Now you're like, whatever. I just want to go home and put my feet up. I just want to go home and take this bra off. That's because of low energy. Now, I want you to think about if you keep tolerating that, what's life going to look like 5 years from now? It's not just your body that's going to be different. Your whole identity is going to be different. You're going to wake up and look in the mirror one day and go, who is that person? Or you're going to be driving home after some serious conversation with a friend or a coworker or some blow up that didn't go well. And you're going to think, when did I become like this? This is not how I normally would have reacted to that. But there's an alternative. Midlife can be different. You can have a self-led midlife. You can stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you can start saying, okay, what is happening and what do I need to adjust? That is self-leadership. It's not motivation. It's not hoorah cheerleading. That is leadership. That is you adjusting in real time based on the data that you're taking in from what's happening to you. And I know it probably sounds like a little bit of work. Maybe in the beginning, it'll feel like work. It'll feel hard. It'll feel heavy. But there's a beautiful goal at the end. And that beautiful goal is you get to be that vibrant, excited, push forward kind of person that you used to be or that you want to be. You get to take back authority over your body, over your recovery, over your fueling, over what kind of treatments you can have and not have, what you're going to tolerate from your family, from your friends, from your boss, from your coworkers, from the people trying to cut in front of you at Walmart, whatever the case may be. When you have more energy, life changes. Your outlook changes, your reactions change. You get to be more proactive instead of reactive. It's a beautiful thing. So this week, I want to give you one thing, one little lever that you can pull to start to activate the machinations of change, right? I want you to track your recovery, not your productivity, not your weight. You don't have to step on a scale, your recovery. And what I mean by that is I want you to keep track for 1 week. You can just get a napkin and put it by the side of your bed. You don't have to be all official about this. What time are you going to sleep? What time do you wake up? How many times did you wake up during the night? I know I've done past episodes about sleep, and you can go back and listen to those. I can't stress enough that sleep is your number one recovery tool. If you're not getting good sleep, you're going to be endlessly frustrated with your energy levels, with your health situation, because you have to have sleep. That's when you recover. That's when your body does all the magic. And that's where your new path to increasing your capacity is going to start, is getting better sleep. It's probably one of the biggest symptoms that women complain about to me is, I just wish I could sleep again. And here's why I'm asking you to keep track for 1 week, okay? Because this is a step for you to raise your standard. Midlife is not a decline. It's a leadership test. The question is not, why is this happening? The question is, how long are you going to tolerate it? So again, just get a napkin or a scrap piece of paper or your favorite notebook, set it by your bedside, and you're going to write down what time you going to sleep, what time you woke up, and then how many times did you wake up during the night? And then you can look at that data. Next week, we'll talk about it. It's going to tell you a story. It's going to give you a glimpse of whether or not your body is recovering properly. And that is going to be a clear indicator of why you have low energy. That's it for today. If you feel like you're ready to implement instead of just consume, the Unmute Your Midlife program is where we do this kind of work. I'll leave a link in the show notes for you to schedule a free unmute session to explore more. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure and hit subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And I will see you back here next week.